This fragrance review is brought to you by FragranceX.com. You can utilize my code ROBES08 on FragranceX.com to get this fragrance. They have both sizes in stock right now. Every time I review an Armani fragrance, one thing always comes to mind. Are Armani prices worth it? Hell to the no! Let's go! Hey YouTube fragrance family, welcome to another ROBES08 fragrance review. Today is on the house of Giorgio Armani and a flanker to their best-selling men's fragrance called Armani Code. This one called Armani Code Profumo. Let's get to it. Code Profumo hit the shelves in 2016. Bottle sizes are the 1 ounce, which is fairly rare for retailers to carry that. A 2 ounce bottle, which is the one you see here, and the big bottle, 3.7 ounce. Concentration is eau de parfum. Flankers. This is actually a flanker of the original 2004 Armani Code. It's actually the 13th flanker in line of the Code family. So can you believe that? 13 fragrances since 2004 and another one coming in 2017. Pricing, this is where Armani loses me. They think, as far as clothing, they're high end. You know, they go against the Dior's and things like that as far as clothing goes. Fragrances, they're not on Chanel and Dior's quality as far as the radar goes. But pricing, they are. You're looking at around $70 to $110 retail American to purchase this fragrance. Price is always a factor when I'm talking about Armani fragrances because they price themselves out, in my opinion, as far as quality goes. And Profumo is the exact same thing. You gotta wait till this gets to a discounter to really be worth your while. Now, looking at presentation wise, Armani Code Profumo has probably the sexiest bottle in the whole Code lineup. I absolutely love the bronze brown colorway to the black. It's absolutely gorgeous. So let's take a look at the box itself. You got the brown here with Armani Code Profumo, Parfum pour Homme, and then Giorgio Armani. You're gonna see the stamp here of GA right there. There is some information at the back here and some more at the bottom of the box with the code. Now let's take a look at the bottle more in detail. Now looking at the bottle, I love the colorway. Like I said, I love the band here. It really is a beautiful presentation. The band is something new that they have added to all codes. So my code, as you can see, is an older bottle. It doesn't have that little leather look kind of band. So let's take a look at it. As you can see, a gradual darker to a brown bronze kind of look. You can see the name here, Armani Code, at the bottom, Profumo. And then you have this plastic band that has some detail to it, as you guys can see. And it kind of looks like a leather band. So it's a very nice presentation. I love that addition to their bottles. It makes it classier, in my opinion. They got the GA stamped on there. You got a sticker at the bottom with the code. If I open this up, then you just got a plastic cap basically with some depth to it, and the atomizer actually has that bronze, so it's a beautiful touch. You know, I know that atomizers do come in black and white, and that's the standard. I like that Armani spent a little more money and kind of got their colorway on it. The atomizer itself, as you can see, pretty good. They're pretty standard. Just with these caps, they have a groove to them, so you have to actually find the groove and then press down. And the bottles are not cylinder-like. They are, but they do come inside a little bit. They come out. So the noses behind Profumo is a two-headed monster. 2 all-star parfumiers in the game, Antoine Lai and Antoine Maisondieu, so the Antoine twins. Both of them were actually the creators of the original Armani Code for men, so I really appreciate when the noses behind the original bestseller come back to produce the flanker. So huge big ups to Armani to ask those two to make a flanker of their own fragrance. I love that. That's a great touch by Armani. Let's take a look at the notes beside me here. Off the top, we got green apple, cardamom, and green mandarin. In the mid, we got some florals and some more spice. So we got lavender, orange blossom, and nutmeg. And in the base, this is where your big boys are. Tonka bean, which is huge, leather, and amber. All three of those are huge in Armani Code Profumo. Now, major notes to my nose. It's a tonka-based fragrance. We got some leather in here that's suede-like. Orange blossom, huge factor in this fragrance. Cardamom, amber, lavender. So quite a bit of the notes in here are going to be major factors. You can see that those top notes really play their part. They're top notes and they really are very minimal to this fragrance. Group, this is an oriental spicy fragrance. How many sprays and where? Let's take a look at my application. Now with application, with sweet scents, usually I like to tone it down, but with this particular fragrance, I actually think more is more. Usually my motto is less is more, but more is more with this fragrance. Now, teens out there, don't go double digits with the atomizer. I'm telling you right now, I know you're going to say, hey, Mark said more and more. I'm just going to go 12 sprays. Don't do it. I go 1 on the chest, bare chested as usual. Then I go 3 sprays on my neck. How do I do it? Bam, back of the neck, switch it up, other side of the neck, 3 up here. I'm getting into golf right now. And then 2, I'm going to do inner elbows. Boom, 1, boom, 2. So total sprays, 6. 5 that are obviously without, not covered with clothes. So in the opening, it's going to engulf you with sweetness. If you're not a fan of sweet fragrances, this is just going to blow you away as far as application goes. However, once the sweet dry down of this fragrance comes in, this is my perfect how many sprays and where on me. Let's go to what she smells like. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of Profumo, we gotta talk about the original code. Bam! What are the differences? What is the same? The only notes that are returnees from the original code are leather and tonka, both of which will have a piece in Profumo. With the original code side by side, I can tell the Profumo version is much denser. It's deeper than the original, which is a welcome addition to many code lovers or even haters, to be honest. A lot of downfall for Armani Code is longevity and projection. A lot of people tag this as a night out type of fragrance. It doesn't have that much oomph for these fall and winters, especially these Canadian fall and winters. So it really has a freshness to Armani Code. If you go take a look at my review, the opening of Armani Code is very fresh. For a darker fragrance, well, supposed darker fragrance, it's not that dark, it's not that dense. Profumo kind of hits that spot. It hits that denseness, that depth that you're looking for in a particular fragrance, especially in the designer game. So it is a welcome addition to the flankers of Armani Code. Now, off the top, let me refresh myself because I just want to have something fresh in my mind here for off the top. This cap's being silly. That opening, sweetness just hits me. I like sweet fragrances. You guys know Le Male, right? So off the top, Profumo pushes a fresh apple note. This is something that a lot of people miss in this because it's very short-lived. So you get a fresh apple note, you get cardamom and sweetness from multiple angles. The sweetness actually hits you from multiple angles, and I'm going to get into that. The apple, when and if you find it, is gorgeous. It's probably one of the better. It almost reminds me of Boss Bottle's green apple note, Boss Bottle Oud. Beautiful, not synthetic, very, very beautiful. It's very short-lived. If you blink, you miss it. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the better notes in Profumo. Not kidding. Now, once that initial blast dries and peels kind of a layer to Profumo, it goes, here you go. It puts it on a silver platter. It steals a page out of the Testament of 1 Million by Paco Rabanne. Yes, it does. It takes that bubblegummy sweetness that's off the top of Paco Rabanne. It takes the mandarin, and it also takes that suede-like leather, which are both also very familiar in the top seller from the Rabanne house and are utilized in Profumo. It really is uncanny that it takes, obviously, that bubblegumminess, that mandarin, that orange-like feel that you get from 1 Million, and that suede-like leather, more in the dry down, both in fragrances. It really is uncanny that it's taking a lot of that. So it really is, when people are talking about 1 Million, yes, I see it. Code would not be Code without tonka bean. It is what it is. Since tonka bean is the note du jour that a lot of these designers are utilizing in their top sellers, it only makes sense that one of the best men's top sellers that first used tonka successfully comes back with a vengeance, and it did. You're also met with the sweet amber, which is also powdery. You get a little bit of powder and also the original code, so you still get that from the original code. The lavender. The lavender in this has a minimal roll, however, it is also sweet. So you get a little bit of sweetness from the amber, you get a little bit of sweetness from the tonka, and you get a little bit of sweetness from the lavender. The lavender reminds me of the lavender that was used by Maurice Roussel in many of his sweet top sellers. You know, the Roca Mans and the New Harlems and the Michael Jordans of the world. It really reminded me of a Roussel lavender. Really interesting. The opening, I'll be honest, can be an overload of sweetness to many users. It's going to turn people right off of this fragrance immediately, pretty much like it did to me. This took multiple wearings for me to start warming up to it. I mean, it really was one of those. I like my sweetness, but if you're, especially when I was testing this numerous days together, it was starting to get a little bit much for me. Once that initial shock of sweetness tones down a little bit, it actually starts reminding users of a root beer accord. Yeah, root beer. This part of Profumo actually reminds me of the presentation. It's got that brown root beer kind of look to it. Now, I think this part of Profumo is much better in my opinion. It's actually the better part of that initial sweetness coming from all sides. I just couldn't take it. Now the root beer is sweet, so it's still sweet, but it has more vanilla to it. It adds a vanilla sweetness to it. Now sweetness, even though it comes from tonka and amber in this fragrance, with a little pinch of cardamom here to give it a little bit of edge, it kind of gives out a benzoin, like more styrax like feel to my nose, and it's very similar to Givenchy's Pie, which has that exact same note. So it kind of gives Profumo a vanilla ice cream root beer, almost like a vanilla root beer, a root beer that has a large vanilla note in the root beer. The one brand that really reminds me, you know, there's other brands out there for root beer, there's like Barks and stuff like that. No, forget about those. The one that throws out that vanilla, that initial punch, when you drink that stuff, it's vanilla almost overdose. And that is A&W root beer. It used vanilla absolute, I think, in the actual drink. My favorite root beer of all time is A&W. I love that huge vanilla splash in my root beer, and A&W just does it perfectly. So this opening as a whole brought me to many top sellers in the past, so it's plucking a lot from tons of top sellers. It takes me to notably Pie. So yes, it reminds me of this stuff, the styrax, the vanilla sweetness, and a little bit of almond push in this particular fragrance reminds me of Pie. I'm not the only one saying this. A lot of reviewers say that it actually takes a big page out of Pie, and it really does. Now also the cardamom. The cardamom in here reminds me of the top seller from YSL, La Nuit de l'Homme. It's not the only one that they steal from YSL. They steal a little bit from another YSL. The lavender reminds me of the lavender in Rocha Man, yeah, the butt plug of the fragrance game. Now, the amber and orange blossom in this fragrance is used exactly like a cheaper fragrance. Diesel Fuel for Life Spirit. This stuff was launched in 2007. I liked it, as you can tell. I've used it. It really has that orange blossom sweetness. Now, the sweetness in that particular fragrance is very close to L'Homme Le Parfum Intense, which also utilizes orange blossom, but for the sweetness he uses benzoin. So there's another one. Again, a good dent into it. Again, I love my sweet fragrances when done right, and it steals the page out of just throwing like 5 fragrances here. So Profumo steals the page out of these two. Funny enough, the juice color is the exact same on all 3 fragrances. So really uncanny. If you're looking for something that's cheaper, these could be, because they've been on the market for a while. They're not the same as this, but it does steal a big page out of those two. So they both have like that strong, sickly, sweet, synthetic orange blossom note which runs through the fragrance without quitting. Same here. It really does have that sweetness, that orange blossom that is just going to stay through the whole fragrance. It kind of gives the fragrance balls. Like, these fragrances last because of those notes. They really do last quite a bit, and that's probably why this one lasts quite a bit too. I received a little bit of spice instead of using cinnamon, like 1 million, and I think this one uses cinnamon. It actually uses the close cousin of cinnamon, which is nutmeg. Nutmeg is actually a spice that is a welcome addition to this opening. I think it would miss a lot if you didn't have a cinnamon or a nutmeg in this fragrance. It really does kind of give you that gourmandish vibe to the fragrance a little bit. The leather in here, very soft. Nothing new, nothing unique. The Code DNA, the original Code, has that kind of leather. So it's very soft. It gives only really just depth to the fragrance, and it gives it a little bit of smoothness too. Huge factor in Profumo is the tonka. In my personal opinion, the tonka note is much different than the one in the original Code, actually. Namely, its strength. It is more balm-like in this fragrance than Code. Code, it was there, but it didn't have the strength that it had in this one. Also, its place in the note chart. It goes from being a solid part of the original Code, it's part of the puzzle, to being the central theme in Profumo. So that is a huge thing. It makes Profumo, it gives it a much stronger position in the fragrance or effect to the scent. This comes to no surprise to me, since tonka is very popular today, and actually much more popular today than it was years ago when the original Code was released. Overall, it's no surprise to me that the opening of Code sold itself to many users, stealing many factors, kind of plucking many factors from bestsellers over the years. 1 Million, La Nuit de l'Homme, Givenchy Pie, Rochamin, all bestsellers. And the other two flankers, Diesel and L'Homme, these are okay sellers. So it does pluck quite a bit, and obviously the original Code. So it steals quite a bit, and that's why it's not that original of a fragrance. Now let's move on to the dry down of this fragrance. What happens when it's on your skin for a few hours? Well, in the dry down, you feel some of the original Code mixed in with other facets. I will be giving Profumo props for, I'm giving you props, buddy, for being much more complex than the originator. People will kind of get bored of Code. They're gonna wear it, they might go through a few bottles, but after a while, especially in this day and age, you need some power. Code just doesn't have it. The cardamom, the amber, the sweetness, the powder, and leather give the scent a much richer Code. The resinous, saying that lightly, amber gives off a Styrax-like feel to the scent, kind of gives the scent a sticky vanilla, just like pie. When people say they smell caramel in this scent, this is what you're actually smelling. The original Code is somewhere in that bottle, somewhere in this juice. It's there, however, it's rather weak. I can't even say the original Code is the backbone of this scent, because it's not. Tonka, amber, orange blossom are the backbone of Profumo. I like the fullness of the tonka note here. It's missing quite a bit of facets, kind of like cherry. It doesn't have a cherry vibe in here. It does take a little bit of almond, which is nice. That's the tonka bean talk in here. Pie kind of has that little almond, more almond than this one, but this one has a small nutty vibe to the fragrance. Honestly, Profumo almost lost me in that opening. The introduction of this fragrance, they almost lost me. However, in the dry down, it's actually very decent, so they kind of won the game a little bit with me. So my overall take on Profumo, Armani Code Profumo is relatively linear as a scent. There's minimal development on this fragrance. Profumo is Armani's take on the recent note du jour, which is tonka. This was made to strictly piggyback on the clubbing 1 Million DNA and the huge note of tonka. This had one thing to do, and that was sell. I think Armani did exactly that. From what I see online, from the sales, this fragrance is very hot right now. This fragrance is going to please that 1 Million crowd that was kind of getting bored of 1 Million, wanted something new with a little more edge to it. This will also make a lot of people that love du Note du Jour, tonka, a lot of these ultra sweet fragrances that are coming out, Ultra Mal, Muglier's Pure Tonka, just to name a few, the new 1 Million Privé, among many others. This is what this is going against. The opening is just a wash for me. It really isn't something that I like. And for uniqueness, Profumo, they lost it. They lost in the marketing scheme. You're going to see, as far as being unique, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of brands like Armani kind of cashing in on du note du jour, kind of making a flanker with what's selling at the moment. They really they're going to lose a lot in my marking scheme in regards to uniqueness. Profumo is not unique. It steals so much. It really isn't unique in the fragrance game. However, designers, this is what they're made for. So I am going to judge it the way it is. Does it last? Is it projecting? Wearability? What does it do against all these other sweet fragrances? How does it do? And I think it does very well, and that's why it's selling so much. However, I'm not a fan of brands doing this, but everybody's doing it. Jean-Paul Gaultier is doing it. Mugler is doing it. Everybody's doing it. So might as well see which one is the best one at it. Profumo is in the top. This release, even though very much mainstream and not unique, is a welcome addition to the Code lineup. It really needed a revival. Code, the flankers for Code, I could probably put on one hand. Actually, I could probably put in these two fingers how many good releases that we had from flankers from Code. Either A, they didn't last long, they weren't interesting, they were summer releases that were just crap. Really just terrible releases all the way through. When I call it Ultimate's a different story. So it is something that it really Code needed a revival, and this did it. Everything from the packaging, the smell, and everything. People are talking about this fragrance, and this is what Armani wanted. Finally, Code got its revival that it needed. People are listening now, so their next release better be a good one. So, putting my personal thoughts aside, it does shine in many facets and should please many users. Now let's take a look at the stats. Recommended age, I would say this is a teen fragrance all the way through, mostly right up to the late 20s. I'm not saying that it's not for older folks. Hey, if you got a sweet tooth like I do, hey, I do. I'm going to be honest. I love Ultramal. I like Pure Tonka. Sweetness Overdose kind of starting to bug me a little bit, just like this one, but I can see somebody older wearing this. No problem there. Any age really, but really it's gravitating towards teens. And of course in their 20s, early 30s kind of recommended age, I would say, for signature scent. If you're, an older gentleman, I think this would be more of a night out type of fragrance. You want to be a little more playful. Yeah, wear it casually, going to the mall, things like that. Reminds people of what? I've already thrown up like 6 bottles in your face. It reminds me of Code, 1 Million, Pie, Fuel for Life, Spirit, YSL, L'Homme, Parfum Intense. This is probably the closest that it resembles to, taken away from a lot of these fragrances right here that were shown. Awards on my channel, this is too new. I'm sorry, it's too new. It didn't win any awards yet. Best time to wear this fragrance, casually, signature scent for a younger kid. Yeah, you can wear this as signature scent. Evening, mostly clubbing, dates, things like that. 20-year-old in university or college, I just see you wearing this as signature scent. You wear it to a club, you wear it going out, parties, things like that. This is just straight up your alley right here. Seasons, fall, winter, cooler spring day, and summer nights. I really think that's the best time to wear this. Development, is it linear, average, or complex? It is average, but it's almost gravitating towards linear. So if I had like a Richter scale that this is linear, average, complex, it would be more like this, going towards the linear. It really doesn't move much. Is this work appropriate? Hell no, this is not professional wearing this stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Is it work appropriate? No, I think this is more of a night out scent, especially for an older gentleman that does have a job. I don't think so. For school, yeah, why not? And, you want to get the girl's attention in school, you're sympathetic, trying to hit on a little girl there. You're like, hey, I'm wearing Profumo. Hey, what's up? So, yeah, not work appropriate. Signature scent worthy? Yeah. No, not. It depends on your age again. I really think that college kid, this would be, your Swiss Army knife. Yes, wear it in class. You're going to wear it to parties. You're going to go out drinking. You're going to go, you're going to go clubbing and things like that. I really think that this can be that for you. I really think this is tailored to, the university kid that got a lot of money and has no problem spending $100 on an Armani fragrance. Oh, that hurts. But I don't like that pricing. Why would you hate it? The sweetness, it's not unique. These are the reasons that I was not gravitating towards this fragrance. There's some things that I really don't like. I appreciate for what it is, and I got to look at it like, if I were a college kid, this would be right up my alley. So I can't just all me, but I will tell you why I hated the sweetness in the opening way too much. It's not unique. It's pulling from a lot of other ones. I don't respect that. And those Armani prices are freaking terrible. Why would you love it? An updated code, a Armani code that's actually worth purchasing? Yeah. I gotta say, yeah. Younger folks are gonna enjoy it. Yes, they will. They love this stuff. Now let's go split screen. It's time to rate this bad boy. Projection and longevity. So projection, decent. 7 bottles out of 10. It does project. That is one good thing about this fragrance. The original was not a beast. So projection, a little more here at a 7. Longevity, 8 bottles out of 10. It gives me 7 to 8 hours. It never really went double digits on me, 10 plus hours. But it really hit that threshold. I'm looking for 7 to 9 for designer fragrances, and this did it. So this has enough push to go clubbing. That's what the kids out there that are watching my reviews want to know. Yep. Compliment factor, this is high. It really did well on me. 8 bottles out of 10. I was surprised, but not really surprised. If you get my drift, I really didn't think that I was going to get that much notice out of this fragrance. I knew that it was going to get some love, and it actually did. So 8 bottles out of 10. Compliment factor is there. It's there. It's not through the roof, but it's there. Uniqueness. Shame on you. 2. I'm giving it a 2. It's low. It steals so much that it's not even. it's not unique at all. I'm giving it a 2. Pricing versus what you get, that's another one. A little slap on Armani. What you're getting as far as retail pricing, this is a 3 bottles out of 10. It really isn't buyer friendly. That Armani pricing, you're not a Chanel. I know you're trying to be in the clothing game. Okay, now we can talk. You can start pricing out your clothing very high. But as far as quality, what you give to the user, this, I can get it from, you pulled a lot from older bestsellers, which people can get for like $50, like half the price. Basically, if you like this kind of scent, you like it, wait 4 to 6 months. It's going to start hitting discounters, and hopefully that Armani pricing is just going to go a little lower. Armani fragrances really don't dip that much, but when they do, snatch her up. Versatility, 8 bottles out of 10. I was actually pleasantly surprised. These really sweet fragrances, it mellowed out a little bit, so it gives it a little higher mark for versatility. So an 8, actually surprising for the versatility. That goes to smell. The sweetness, that opening, it lost 2 marks automatically. I'm going to give it an 8. I really think that it did pull some good things out of all these fragrances. It really did, especially for the target audience that they're going for. It is an excellent scent. As far as overall score on Profumo, now Profumo is going to get an 8 out of 10. I really think that, I'm looking at the spectrum of longevity, projection, versatility. I'm looking at uniqueness. I'm looking at 10 years from now, is this still going to be relevant to this day? Things like that. Is this a solid release? Yes, it is a very solid release. It actually put Armani Code back on the map. Really, people were forgetting about Code, so it kind of brings back the Armani game. We'll see if they hang on to that spot, and that goes to buy, try, or pass. Armani Code Profumo. If you're watching this review and you're a frag head like me, you've probably already owned 6 fragrances that smell like this. There's no point of you purchasing this. So I'm going to go with a try. If you own any of the fragrances that I named in this review, Pie, La Nuit de l'Homme, 1 Million, Roca Man, Diesel, Fuel for Life Spirit, L'Homme, Intense. Really, this is a redundant fragrance for you to get. It has better qualities than some of these. It has worse qualities than some of these. So that's where you're going to have to make the judgment. Is it worth it? If you own any sweet powerhouses, this is not going to give you anything different. I'm telling you, it's not. It's just the new fragrance for today. The next hype for 4 months later, this thing's going to be forgotten. So buy, try, or pass. Ultimate try. It really isn't that good to be a buy. It's not that unique. It's not that different. I can't say buy, and it's not that bad that it can be a pass. This is straight up try. It has some redeeming qualities. So guys, thank you for watching my fragrance review on Armani Code Profumo. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I really appreciate all your support, and thank you for watching. If you own, smelled, or love it or hate it, give us your comments below. I want to hear your take on this particular fragrance. Thanks for watching, YouTube.